Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and pleased to be joined by our IndyCar expert. That's, of course, Colin Kulpa. How's it going, buddy?
Not too bad. How are you?
Doing well. Obviously, we'll have the original topic of this video was supposed to be the IndyCar preview. That's going to get pushed back in a few weeks, but because we have tons of stuff to talk about, it is the Daytona 500 weekend after all. Plus, we got we'll talk some IndyCar news. We got some F1 stuff to talk about, but yeah, we'll go with that. All right, let's talk about the main reason why we wanted to get you on right now is because some guy named Tony Kanaan announced his retirement this week after a 26-year career in IndyCar. He'll be running his final Indy 500, I think. There's still a chance he could come back next year, but it seemed like if you listen to the press conference, it seemed like I think he thinks that I think this is it for him.
Yeah, I do too. And he is just a legend here in the state of Indiana and in the sport of American open wheel racing. I mean, I was just like in the background putting on some old IndyCar races from 2004 Michigan, and Tony Kanaan's battling for the lead in the the 7-Eleven machine. So he's been around for so long. And yeah, he did retire once, and yeah, he didn't get the proper send off when he tried to hang it up the first time and got dragged back into it. And last year he finished second in the Indianapolis 500, his only race of the year. So like, yeah, so he has the skill to do it still. It may be his last race, but he's no slouch. He could very well go out on top this man.
I think he could. I mean, they just announced that the 4-time winners are now in the Indy Bricks. I know IMS just made that announcement not too long ago. So yeah, it's gonna be good stuff there. He's got a of course, it's driving the 66 that Arrow with Arrow McLaren, and obviously we'll get more into IndyCar stuff. Excuse me, during the IndyCar preview, but that's a fast team.
Yeah, and I think I was wrong. I think he finished top 3, not second, because I believe Pato O'Ward. He's moving to the team that finished ahead of him. Yep. Apart from Ericsson, who won, whatever. But yeah, he is going to be a factor in May. He's one of the last drivers that does these one-off events in May that is still very competitive. I think back to Townsend Bell around the 100th in 2016. Ed Carpenter's not really a one-off because he does all the ovals. There aren't many, but he does them all. So like Tony Kanaan showing up last year in a Ganassi car, making the fast 12, doing so well in that month and finishing in the top 3, that's very impressive to do at then 46, now 47, doing it again. He is a factor, and he knows how to get it done like he did in 2013.
Of course, he turned 48 on, I believe it's before the new year, so it's going to be could be interesting to see what TK can do in his final Indy 500. I haven't had a chance to get your reaction to this, but Catherine Legge is back in the Indy 500. How about that? First time.
Yeah, it's great news to have her back. Yeah,
it is.
Ray Hall.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk with her this week, so she's excited about coming back. Of course, everybody. She had to remind me about the Lotus days. Nothing against Lotus, but those 2012 and those 2012 IndyCar days. Good times. But yeah, in all seriousness, it is good to see Catherine Legge back.
It is very good. And yeah, she's been in sports cars. She's been around the globe the last decade since she's been to Indianapolis. So very excited to see her get a chance. It's kind of unfortunate. We used to have this golden era of we would have multiple women driving in the Indy 500 every year. I think back to, I want to say around 2009, there were 4 or 5 women trying to make the race, and we're down to just 1 or 2, which is really disappointing. But hopefully with people like Jamie Chadwick and Indy NXT this year, Indy Next, I mean, and the other women that are getting funding and getting seats that they deserve, we could see a couple more in the future.
Yeah, it's by the way, it's Indy Next, and then
Indy Next,
and then it's USF Pro 2000. By the way,
yes,
those are the 2 new ones of the year. All these changes, man. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun.
Was not a quiet off season, that's for sure.
No, it was not. It's in the IndyCar and F1 and NASCAR. I've been a pretty busy person, Colin. So it has been quite the interact. But your overall thoughts on the field so far? It's going to be interesting to see. Of course, the overall IndyCar field is going to be, I think, around 27, 28. And then, of course, we got 32 entries confirmed for the 500. I think we might get the 33rd coming up here pretty soon. If Dreyer runs a second car, and who knows what other entries we could see. Of course, we could see the Peretta team, and who knows what other extra entries that might run. So
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a fantastic year. Like you said, 27 full-time entries as it is right now. That's the most in a long time. And there is quality from top to bottom. You maybe only have a handful of drivers that feel like backmarkers. Everyone else, depending on the track that fits their skill set, the setup they bring that weekend, they're a threat. And there aren't many series that can truly say we have 20 drivers that can win this weekend. But depending on the track, IndyCar is that series. And I spent every day of the where was it, the thermal club test, watching and trying to get a sense. It's just testing, so maybe a team's bringing parts that don't even really fit thermal club. They just want to make sure they don't like break immediately, so it's very hard to do predictions. But I was looking for a couple trends, like can Arrow McLaren take the next step, and then is Andretti back, and I'm not set on saying can McLaren hit the top tier with Ganassi and Penske. But I will tell you what, Kyle Kirkwood impressed me at the thermal club test, leading multiple sessions, just bad fast in 3 of the 4 sessions. And the only reason he was out of the other one is because they were working on the car. So Kyle Kirkwood and Andretti, we're not at the preview yet. Look out for them this year.
yeah, it is. That 2017. Got a chance to talk to Kyle at Rolex, so it's he seems pretty confident heading into this year. Hey, how about those? Let's transition into F1. Yeah, IndyCar going to F1. That's interesting. So, what is how do you like the liveries so far for them? Who are some of the favorites?
Oh, I almost don't even want to rank the ones that they don't even bother tinkering with or changing. Like the Red Bulls look the same for so long. I think I like McLaren. Their weight saving move to go back to black. I like the McLaren in black. I think it looks bad fast, especially with those neon numbers. I'm a sucker for the pink Alpine. They run the first couple races. Like that thing looks good, especially on a grid that's very like red and black and kind of dark and navy. Like that pink pops immediately. Alpha and Haas have made good changes, I feel like, this year in their liveries. But I mean, liveries are fun, but I want to see how fast these things go. Bahrain in a couple weeks. You can tell it's little things, but if you look closely, the way the side pods are designed and developed, the little things on the front wings, that's what I've been looking at, and I can't make sense of it yet. Everyone says that they've found the magic pill to take it to the front, and we know that's not true. But it'll be interesting to see when testing comes around who has actually made the most changes and didn't spend too much time redesigning their livery.
Yeah, two teams I'm watching out for. Mercedes, are they gonna be back, or was last year just one of those bad years? Does Lewis Hamilton return to his winning ways? Does Red Bull take a step back? And how is Ferrari going to be with the new team principal? So lots to look forward to. And how is McLaren going to be? So that's so many questions. And how is Logan Sargent going to do? The first on the grid. So that is going to be exciting there. Speaking of speaking of America, there's a pretty big race going on in that country right now. Down in Florida, it's of course the Daytona 500, the opening of the NASCAR season. Some guy named Frankie Muniz is in the ARCA race. How about that, bud? He was fast.
He's fast, yeah. Right in the middle of the pack for the race on Saturday. Yeah, it's an exciting weekend down in Florida.
Yeah, it is. Do you think he wins the ARCA race?
No, it's not fun to say. I'm not playing along with that. He very well could.
Yeah, he's got good equipment. So
yeah, good equipment, and like you've been mentioning, ARCA across the field has taken a step up this year in terms of equipment and the money flowing around. So hoping that there can be some more teams that can really fight up front, especially at the big tracks like Daytona and Talladega. But it's hard to pick against Venturini, isn't it?
It is. It is. I picked a 20 this week on the Grid Encore show, and I just then I did it on my Twitter page this week. That's still exists. And of course, we got the truck race tonight. Nick Sanchez is on the pole. Of course, that race is literally coming up within the hour of time of recording. So Chevys are fast. KBM switches to Toyota from Toyota to Chevrolet. Those cars are fast. I mean, those trucks are fast. So, but there's a lot of fast Chevys up there. And of course, those GMS trucks are up there too. What you got?
The winner tonight is Craftsman for coming back. Love that. Very nostalgic. No, I think the winner is Corey LaJoie. He's got the experience across multiple series, and he's got the truck to do it. I think sleeper pick Raja Karuth.
That's my pick tonight.
That's your pick tonight. Yeah, but it's the truck race at Daytona. Whoever's left is where you should pick from with 5 laps to go, because it's really a race of survival. Because it's so short and it's such a proving ground where you develop your skills, that there's a lot of youth and there's a lot of mistakes. So if you can survive, you have a shot.
Should be interesting. I mean, that kind of carries over into tomorrow with the Xfinity race with the I'm not sure if your thoughts on this. Beef, it's what's for dinner 300. That's actually what the race is called.
The Beef 300.
There's going to be a lot of beef. And a lot of those cars are, I'm not sure if those cars are as fast as Xfinity Internet at 10G. I wanted to always say that on this channel. So whose car is going to be faster than Xfinity Internet and put it in victory lane? See what it is there.
You know, it's hard to say, but I gotta pick your favorite of the junior motorsports cars. It almost doesn't even matter who's driving them. They just have a magic to them at Daytona. Yeah. The 9, the 8, the 1, the 7. Allgaier honestly might not be a bad pick. He always he's not a superstar at super speedways. Also the Colin cars, like what? Justin Haley's doing a one-off in Xfinity. It's hard to pick against him too. I forgot about that. Yeah. Grew up 15 minutes from where I'm from, so
Winamac, Indiana.
So I might have to go with Justin Haley. They got it figured out. When those Colin cars hook up together, they are fast. So
yeah, they are. I got Sam Mayer tonight, so I mean, he almost could have won Talladega.
That's right.
Yeah, he could have. So, I mean, he was strong. He's got Marty Lindley on top of the box. Of course, they won championships together when they were what was now known as the ARCA Menard Series East. So it'll be interesting to see what that one team can do this year. So I got the one team going number 1. Yeah. So, and then we got the big one, the Daytona 500. Hey, Jimmy Jam's back. He and Travis Pastrana are starting in the last row. But Connor Daly's in the 500.
My favorite story of the weekend. He bought tickets to LA. He wasn't even planning to be in Daytona on Sunday. The ride LEL looked at and said, "No way." Connor was like, "Well, might as well," and drove what looked like a freaking bouncing Cadillac all around. Like, drove it into the freaking race. How about that? I will not pick Connor Daly to win on Sunday. I think much like the truck race, he could end up in a top 10 if he just keeps driving. But yeah, it's the Great American Race.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ross Chastain. I think the Chevrolets are fast, but I think I might be changing my pick because the thing is, it's like those Fords are fast.
They are very fast. They're very fast, and I will say this as caution. I don't feel confident picking a winner for the Daytona 500. I think it could come from Team Penske. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski were up there a couple years ago. Last year, Austin Cindric with the first big race in the next gen. Don't fall for the Hendrick being first and second. Every year, it seems like those cars are very fast and then they become very loose. They're very trimmed out for qualifying, but they don't seem to have the race pace when it comes down to it. Almost like clockwork.
It seems like the Fords are it sounds like they're going to be. So Yeah, I think I might. I'm gonna go with, you know what? I'm gonna go with Eric Almirola. I think that 10 car proved a lot last night. Is in there. Remember he when he was supposed to retire last year? Now he's back. So
He's back for more than 1 year. He's not even doing another year. It's like two,
yeah,
I believe, at least. So I think Stuart Haas, yeah, Eric Almirola's not a bad pick. Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece in the 41 this year. I think they have something to prove this year. And they are working very hard to prove that it was a fluke last year, that they kind of were off with the new next gen car. So
and of course it's also Kevin Harvick's retirement year, and that's why you're probably seeing all these. You know, Stuart Haas is going to be looking for some drivers. It's probably why, you know, Alex Bowman resigned, Daniel Suarez resigned, Ross Chastain. They're all signed to multi-year deals. Trackhouse has got the house all built up, as they say. It's I know Justin Marks has put his stamp on NASCAR for sure with those 2 contract extensions, and I guess Alex Bowman needed an ally and he got one. So yeah,
like
that was good. Of course, Bowman signed through 2026. Ally is signed through 2028 with Hendrick Motorsports. So yeah, it's going to be some. We're back to those long-term contracts again. I think now that we've kind of came out of the pandemic a little bit, I think we're kind of going back to that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it creates great stability for these teams to build around drivers, and give them a chance. You know, it's hard to be good after 1 year in any series. It takes a couple years, about 100 races in the Cup Series to finally get a win and finally feel like you're comfortable and up front. So glad to see some of these longer term deals.
Absolutely. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back. He'll be back in a few weeks to preview IndyCar when we get closer to St. Pete, probably next week. So
Probably.
so yeah, we'll see Colin again, and might be seeing some other people on this channel. You never know. I'm Casey Campbell. Enjoy the races tonight.